everybody. He's here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Got Daniela with us tonight. How you doing, brother?
Shalom, shalom. I'm doing wonderful. How about yourself?
Good, good. We're gonna talk about some LLC action tonight, guys, because it's interesting how LLCs work, and LLCs are quite amenable according to the organization or setup of the group of people that are operating it. And we have Nubs joining us tonight. Greetings, brother. How you doing tonight?
Doing swell.
Good, good. Looks like you're by a campsite, a fireside anyway. Yeah, there we go. Hey,
Burning it up.
What do you guys know about LLCs?
I'll let you go first, Nubs. I know you need a LLC in order to open up a private business, moms and pop type shop. I know that it protects you from personal liability. Most people don't know this. They just passed a law that takes effect at the start of the next year that if you don't fill out the paperwork for every LLC you own, you will be paying $500 fine every single day.
Interesting.
I missed the question. What was the question?
What do you know about LLCs?
I know they're limited in their liability. I tell you that. My business operates under an LLC, and I'm not necessarily happy with that. It needs to be revamped to something other than an LLC.
Well, there are different advantages to LLCs, and we're gonna show you one of the disadvantages if you don't know what you're doing. Because LLCs, as limited liability corporations, aren't necessarily really big corporations. They're actually kind of small. And as we're going to watch in this video, we're going to see the greed of an LLC to expand and grow can over or supersede its ability to maintain itself through what they operate under, and that is the LLC voting system. As an LLC, you don't necessarily have employees. What you have is a group of owners that operate together in ownership. They have a share in the votes. So we're going to watch this video, and welcome, Moose. How you doing tonight? Okay.
Moose is a man of many words tonight.
Absolutely, absolutely. He's left a note in the chat that they cut the phone services, so he might be having problems. Moose, if you're there, let us know. If not, we're going to get into this and figure out what you got to do.
I also wanted to chime in that, as you said, the greed. You have the opportunity to make a lot of fiat currency and not have to pay it back if you know what you're doing as well.
Well, and that's part of the structure of the LLC, is that the money earned from the investment is actually, the investment is a co-investment by the quote employees. They're not really employees. They're co-owners because they have an investment in it. So instead of taking a paycheck, they actually work for free, and they write checks to each person, either themselves as a LLC member, managed, or if they hire an outside manager. But if that's the case, then there's an obfuscation with whether they're actually employed. So it goes to wages. What do you determine for wages and stuff? So it's a particularly sticky situation if you don't know what you're doing as members yourselves. So let's take a look at this. And this here is from Reckless Ben. There's a link down in the detail section to the video. And then we're going to pull this up and watch what happens. It says, I overthrew a restaurant that was run by a cult. And I'll give you a trailer type situation here. The guy that started out investigating a cult, and he went undercover. And the supposed cult, as he's calling it, has their own little religious 508 C1D, where they're a nonprofit, and so everything that they make through their religious organization goes back into the organization. Well, part of this religious organization is they have their own little communal farm where they have all this produce and everything they provide for a restaurant. And the restaurant is a 508 C1D restaurant for the purposes of making income for the religious organization, this so-called cult. Now, under this undercover investigation that he did, he ended up also getting a job at the restaurant. Then he turned around and got a bunch of his friends together after he found out how the LLC here worked. And that's what he used to take over and overthrow the restaurant. That's literally what these people did. So it's very important, again, to understand how an LLC operates. You guys feel free to stop me anytime.
Yeah, I got a question. That made me come up with a question. So let me get straight. Are you saying that this gentleman or individual has the ability to overthrow and take ownership of an LLC?
Not singularly by himself, but while he started out singularly by himself, undercover and working on the farm and in this restaurant, he found out that the restaurant is run as an LLC, and they supposedly protect themselves by the ownership structure, that each one of them is an owner, and you have to be able to beat them by a majority vote. Like I said, this is a small religious organization, and all this guy had to do was come up with enough people that this religious organization, in their greed, in order to increase their numbers, increased it by enough people that were on his side already. And then they had their first meeting, and they all voted the other employees out.
Real story, or real question, is this how Jackstown actually got fucked up? Is this why the I had to, Wizard. I had to.
All right, let's get into it here.
My friends and I legally overthrew a restaurant that uses child labor and is run by an evil cult.
Can you speak again? You're gonna get detained, okay?
Yes, I used their own legal loophole against them, making me the legal owner of this restaurant now. So first, we fired all the cult members. And now, we can literally do whatever we want with the place. Before you click away from the video, because you don't believe me, we actually pulled this off. And everything we did in the video was, we think, was 100% legal. So let's just get right to it. Here's how I pulled it off. First, I spent 3 weeks undercover in a cult called the 12 Tribes doing investigative journalism work with secret cameras. This cult owns a restaurant as a recruiting device called the Yellow Deli. And while I was working undercover, the first thing I discovered is that this restaurant doesn't pay their employees. They only use slave labor. And believe it or not, using slave labor is actually illegal under the California Minimum Wage Act. So I was curious and asked these guys what loophole they use to get away with this.
Does this restaurant ever run into problems with minimum wage issues since no one gets paid here?
We're under LLC, so everybody who works there is
Oh.
so we don't have that issue.
Yeah, see, everybody who works here as an LLC is a co-owner. So you get an equal share of everything. This is the communal aspect of this religious thing that he's calling a cult. It's not actually slave labor. It's just a way to avoid the labor laws of having to pay, quote, employees, quote, wages for, quote, income, because that's not how they're operating. So it's totally legit. That's how the law is structured. But watch what happens. Now that he knows how they're able to protect themselves, now he knows how to take them apart. Like I said, majority vote.
I'm an owner since I'm working here.
Our own.
Wait, really?
Yeah, because
Does that mean they don't pay taxes?
that way nobody.
Most of them don't, yes. It's a tax shelter. A lot of LLCs, the only taxes they pay are excise taxes. Now watch. Listen to what he says.
We could just take the restaurant over.
That way nobody can just take over the restaurant.
Otherwise, like,
You'd have to win by win by half.
really safe as far as that.
See, they're under the assumption that it keeps the deli safe. But again, if you don't know what you're doing, you ruin that safety net by hiring too many people through this LLC that have a different view and come in and take over, because that's literally what happened. If you don't understand how the voting majority works in an LLC, and you hire a bunch of people that then turn around and come in and overvote you in your own majority vote system, you just screwed yourself. This is called being savvy in business.
That's a cool loophole.
Yeah.
Now it's time to use their cool loophole against them. So here's the plan. Get a large group of my friends to all get hired by this restaurant, making them actual legal owners of the Yellow Deli. When the next employee meeting happens, we do a group vote to fire all the other employees, which according to their own LLC, you need to win by a majority vote to pass any business decisions. Now that they're all fired, we're the only owners left, which means looks like we own the restaurant now. And as
got a majority vote, and the majority vote is to fire the minority. Guess what? That changes the ownership. And legally, that's how this shit works. I hope you're paying attention, folks. This is very risky business.
as owners of the restaurant, we're going to rebrand the place. First off, there's going to be no more child abuse, no more child labor, and the new restaurant's going to stop praising things like slavery and Hitler. But we got to take over the restaurant first, so time to take over the restaurant. Okay, guys, some of you guys may die. That's a sacrifice that we're all willing to make to take this evil cult down. You guys ready for this? Yeah! 1, 2, 3, let's go! So you guys are definitely thinking right now, Ben, what the heck are you thinking? I mean, you don't just expect that this restaurant's just going to hire your entire group of friends on the spot, do you? Well, that's where I'm 6 steps ahead, because while I was still undercover infiltrating this cult, I found out about their main prophecy, which they actually believe that 144,000 virgins are going to just show up to their cult one day. I assume this is how they expect the virgins to show up, and then they're going to like sacrifice them. It's going to bring the end of the world or whatever. So I asked if
This is very strange and reminiscent of Jackstown. Just saying.
This is fucking epic, yo.
This is the epitome of using somebody else's weakness against them. And that's why I urge everybody, don't believe me, don't believe your neighbor, don't believe the government. For crying out loud, don't believe your mother. Learn how to do your research so you know, because this is what happens. You're able to take control of the things that you want to or need to. You learn how to manipulate things, and that's where the power is. Now, I don't suggest you do it for ill means. That's for damn sure.
few of the members. Once all these virgins show up, are they just automatically hired at the restaurant? Like, do they just get a job?
What would happen if like 40 people randomly just showed up at the deli and were like, we're ready to work? Would you guys be able to like have work for the people? Yeah. Because that's going to happen someday, right? It's going to be crowded. Thousands of people. So it's slow now, but it's going to get like really fast really soon. At some point.
Yep.
See, he's building them up and pushing their own dream for them that, hey, one day it's going to happen. It's going to happen. You're all of a sudden going to have people walking in these doors realizing they've made mistakes and that you guys are right. And they're yeah, we know it's going to happen. Thousands at some point.
That's the main prophecy that this restaurant
Peace
believes
and
in.
love,
So I guess if
brothers.
all my friends knock on their door just pretending to be virgins, they're just going to think that their prophecy's finally coming true. So check it out. We're entering as the San Diego Virgin Club. That's why we all just chanted virgins before. So Danny, Lydia, and I hid on the outside while everyone else walked in through the back employee entrance.
Oh, yeah. Who brought you? Oh, we're with the Virgin Club. Oh, wow. We're expecting.
We're with the San Diego Virgin Club. Oh, wow.
I think you're trying to troll us, Wizard.
Well,
Wouldn't troll you.
This is
You're my
clearly
favorite little
Jackstown.
grunions. Nah, you're my favorite little grunions.
I think they're in.
I do not do a podcast, UFC event. I don't do anything without using.
I knew it was fucking Jackstown. He's a spokesman.
saying they want to help out. Yeah, we definitely are going to do that. We got tables that we got. Gonna have to seat. The sandwich bar probably could use some help. Get a crew going on dishes. Maybe a crew can start sweeping the floor.
What this restaurant didn't know is that my friends are some of the hardest workers out there. They were sweeping, mopping, cleaning the bathroom, doing dishes, setting tables, moving boxes from one place to put them in another place. They were doing lots and lots of work. The only downside is nobody got paid for the hard work they were doing. It's okay. They only didn't get paid because they're now official owners of this restaurant.
This is going way too well.
Wait, really?
Y'all are an answer to prayer.
So how is it they are official owners of the restaurant, guys? How does that work? Do you know?
Because they're actively working without taking an income. And
So they're investing their labor,
Yep.
and that can't be converted to a commodity, correct?
Not to my knowledge.
There you go. That's your investment. That's your asset. Your asset is the physical labor that you put into it, the effort that you put into it, your maintenance, your intent to help it prosper and be abundant. And that's exactly the principle these guys are using to take over this LLC, because they see it as a cult that's trying to take advantage of people. Like you mentioned, the wage law. But again, that's a matter of your objective or subjective views on how that works. Because remember, these people didn't join that cult to be part of the cult. They joined the cult to shut the restaurant down. That was the point of entrance for people to join the cult. So they were shutting down the restaurant to cut down the cult. That's their intent and purpose. That's obvious. So we have to keep that in mind.
No, wait, but guys, what if it's a trap?
But it wasn't a trap. Or maybe it was, I don't know. Either way, if it was a trap, my friends successfully all became owners. And the plan was going great. Until...
Oh, you met with Bob before? Oh, yeah.
So these virgin friends of mine told the staff that they met a guy named Rovak.
Let me just call Rovak real quick.
So now they want to call him to verify that these are actual real virgins and not some secret group in disguise trying to infiltrate them.
I think it might be. They're calling him right now.
My friends didn't care and decided to keep working. And then I guess the guy named Rovak told them that he didn't send a group of virgins here. So now this restaurant's wondering, who sent us a giant group of virgins?
You know Ben and Dan? They used to help out here.
Have not a
You
clue,
ever met Ben and Dan?
but their dream is so hard. They're
Well, you know someone
practically
called
coming
Gary,
with all
right?
the help.
Yeah.
I think at this point it's pretty obvious that Danny and I are the ones behind this fake group of virgins. But for some reason, they're still allowing all my friends to continue working for them.
Here's a bag for you. If we can all gather around and grab a bag, that'd be
They're
great.
So it's
desperate.
back to work again, outside, picking up trash.
Say hi to Ben and Dan if they ever show up. Who's that?
If they ever show up, just have to say hi to Benny.
Not only they are improving the inside, but they're also improving the outside equity.
Correct. That's a
And
large part of what
somehow,
these LLCs
even with
need
them
to
knowing
realize.
who we were, all of my friends became legal owners of this restaurant and decided to participate in the next employee group meeting.
You're all right. You can have a seat.
Group meeting.
I think it's time that we have new changes, right? So no more.
An important aspect about, like I said, the LLCs and the way they operate, what Nubs just mentioned as outside equity, going out along the parking lot and the property and making sure it's maintained properly. And a lot of these LLCs are in a position that they can help out the communities in a greater capacity than a corporate entity because of that. They can help show the rest of the community how to run a business like that without being incorporated in the state. And that's what the LLC is. That you're going to be filing certain documents, but actually what it's doing is it's going to limit you on the filings that you have to make, the records that you have to keep. Like I said earlier, most of them don't pay any taxes except excise taxes, things like that. So it's a matter of knowing how that structure works and using it for its benefit. Like I said here, these guys are in fact actually using it for what they deem as a benefit. But again, we've got to remember that's a one-sided benefit because they're opposing an ideology as detrimental, where we really can't see if it's detrimental. It just goes against the grain of what they're thinking. That's why they call it a cult. It's a projection. So we got to keep that in mind.
No more racism. No more, people hating Jews. We are a community that loves everybody. Right?
This is our restaurant?
Yes, exactly. It is our restaurant.
Oh,
We're basically all owners, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna hoorah! 3, 1, 2, 3, hoorah! All right, guys. Anyway, so now that we're all owners, I think that we should probably fire everyone here, right?
I think so.
It's a majority vote.
Yeah.
I feel like it's 15 of us. All in favor of us being owners and nobody else? Yeah. Say aye. Aye.
I think it was like 15 of them and 13 of the others. So they had a majority vote no matter how you looked at it. But again, they went in there with the intent of overthrowing this LLC as such. And that's why I say it's important to realize the number game. Particularly in recent events, we heard about people that are supposedly buying subs and stuff, and what good does it do with the algorithms and stuff, and that's why we're having problems with people coming in and striking channels and getting all aggressive and stuff. It's really not the venue for it, but it's a similarity that I can use to kind of analyze what's going on, and it happens in all worlds, all venues. And that's what we experience here with the like I said, the panels and all the raucous and drama. It's simply other people that are blatantly trying to tell you they're trying to take over. Take over what?
That's
Take
because
over what?
there's no difference between one and the other, Wizard. It's just the means in which things are done and the medium in which things are done in. But there's no difference between drywall and concrete. It's all the same shit. It's all building.
Well, no, I'm
same
talking
like
about, but I'm talking about the intents and purposes. See, in this metaverse here, it's a psychological universe where that's all it really is. There isn't anything really tangible about it except for you pressing the keyboard keys. Other than that, it still has its physical effects on the other end sometimes, like particularly when you order something online. Yeah, you're dealing with a psychological metaverse that isn't real, but at the same time, it's used to create or move real things. So it does have those kind of effects. And so we've got to be careful, again, when we're dealing with these metaverse panels and channels and social sites and stuff, and all the copyright striking and anger and threats and all that. It's merely a matter of somebody else trying to take over your psychological aspects by you showing some kind of control or hierarchy system in a psychological universe that's all it is. It's intangible. There is no control in this metaverse except your own. You cannot control other people. You tend to think you are because You can manipulate them, but that's because of their own weakness. That isn't because you can control them.
Nobody could believe it, but my friends had just legally overthrown the Yellow Deli restaurant. This wasn't just a proud moment for us. This is so much more than that. We're gonna rebrand this place from an evil cult to the best restaurant ever. Let's go.
I think this is gonna work out well.
First, we're gonna hang up 2 signs I had custom made by Danny's mom. A grand reopening sign, and another that says "Not a cult anymore" because cults suck.
Y'all need to get going.
We're rebranding this. Should we hang this up?
Time to go down, man. You guys are probably gonna get picked up for trespassing.
It was going amazing, but then, out of nowhere, one of the previous owners, who was super angry that he just got fired, ripped down our sign.
That guy doesn't even work here. He's trying to tell us how to do our job.
You guys should take off.
Do you know
I
anything?
own the place.
You own the
Remember?
place?
We're all owners, remember?
Yeah, so let's do it. Let's do it. Owner here. Yes.
This is the real world where it's survival of the fittest. All right? So if you want to challenge me,
No, it's not the real world where it's survival of the fittest. It's an LLC in the legal world where they just overthrew your ass because you're dumb. That's what it is, folks.
that's fine. We can do that.
But fighting to win ownership of the restaurant is not how the Yellow Deli's LLC works. It works by majority vote, and we have the majority.
Well, we can do an employee group vote.
Go.
I say the fairest way
Not
is we should have an
plain Antifa
employee.
bullshit.
We
Go.
should have an
Please
employee
go.
group vote to see if we should hang these back up. And majority votes.
Yeah,
to bring them
I'm
back up.
in favor of it.
Yeah. All in favor of it.
Yeah.
It looks like it looks like you're outvoted.
You're being asked to leave.
Work here are.
It looks like you just got outvoted. So let's rebrand. Let's do it.
You're about to get rebranded.
Let's rebrand.
You think you're fucking cute, you'll hit
Yeah.
shit.
You can't be doing that, man. You cannot be doing that.
Yeah, see, now they're going hands-on, and that you can't do. Again, folks, this is a civil issue. If they want to do anything about it, like I said, that's an LLC, and they came in and overtook it through that LLC voting thing. And again, that's the civil aspect that allowed them to take over the LLC. So it remains a civil aspect. When you start putting your hands on people, now it becomes a criminal aspect.
You literally just kicked the owner out of his own restaurant.
Yeah, so as you can see, these previous employees are not taking it the best that they just got fired.
If you don't like our restaurant, you have to eat here.
So they're going to start to take their anger out in what I think are some pretty unreasonable ways.
Just here to
You're a
disrupt whatever they got
customer.
going.
Don't fucking touch me. Don't fucking touch me, all right?
Pause for a second. If we go back, I mean, she bumps into me, but we'll let it keep playing.
Here to
You're a
disrupt whatever they got
customer.
going.
Don't fucking touch me. Don't fucking touch me, all right?
Wait.
You just
Yeah,
fucking
you're
touch me.
fucking, your games work
touch me.
both ways. Your games work both ways.
You
He
can
did.
touch
He
a
didn't
customer
fucking
in my
see him. You
restaurant.
don't touch me.
Actually, I got it on.
Touching you.
Actually-
Let's see.
Actually, I got it on footage.
What?
So this is my first time ever owning a restaurant, and I guess I've never had to deal with angry customers before. And it's starting to look like these 2 angry customers are starting to become a danger to some of the other customers in our restaurant. So hopefully the cops come soon and can deal with this.
Well, let's rebrand. Let's go back up and put the things back up.
Damn, I hate commercials.
Then the cops finally showed up, thank God. Finally, they can deal with this delusional customer and the physical assault that took place.
We had a customer at our restaurant basically just come up and start pushing us in the Yellow Deli.
Okay, are you working?
Now, this is interesting how the police deal with this. These are sheriffs. And like I said, it remains a civil issue. And yet they want to start out as a criminal issue because and a criminal issue against the new owners because they don't understand civil law. And they blatantly say so. Pay attention, listen up.
Wouldn't that be out of jurisdiction?
Absolutely.
And that would be then a civil rights violation on the police department as well.
Absolutely.
Or not to mention other.
We're owners of this restaurant, and we had a customer basically come up and start pushing us. We're not going to deny anyone's service. Like if he's a paying customer and he wants to eat at our restaurant, like of course we'll serve him. But it was just a little rude.
So when is the last time you worked here?
The last time I worked?
Yes.
Like today?
Because we come here all the time. I've never seen you.
You've never seen me?
The person that I talk to, I see.
Well, I'm always.
Pay attention here. Aspects of incentive and bias come creeping in right here. In case you didn't notice, he said, we come here all the time. We know everybody. When's the last time you worked here? We ain't never seen you here before. Sounds like they're looking or receive already preferential treatment. So again, pay attention.
Back in the kitchen, so that's why you don't see me normally.
So here's the deal. They're saying you guys don't work here.
Oh.
Okay. So unless you can show me any type of documentation.
Yeah, we can.
That you work here.
We can pull up the documentation and stuff, but
so here's where I'm coming from. Right?
We have all the legal documentation.
Okay. We come here all the time, right? All the time. This place is 24 hours. There's really good to us here. We like coming here a lot. I've never seen you.
Yeah.
Okay. I've never seen you.
Well, that's because I'm back in the kitchen. Yeah.
I've never seen you.
This cop's wrong. I have video evidence to prove it. I mean, I have video evidence of all of us working. The cop's going to side with the fired employees because the employees that we just fired used to give all police officers free food. Yeah, they're pretty much bribing the cops.
That's not evidence that you just come here all the time. It should be evidence if I show you the proof, right?
The person that works here says you don't work here.
No,
The person that works here says you don't work here. He's verifying himself that he does work here. And he's trying to explain to him that what they did was perfectly legal and that they fired the other employees. And that seems to be a civil issue. And the officer doesn't seem to think so. He should have already been done and over with.
I'm the person that works here. Now I'm saying that he doesn't work here.
I'm saying that he works here, and he's saying that you guys don't work here.
You just got.
See, I'm saying that he works here, and they're saying that you don't work here. See, this guy doesn't know how to speak because he's saying that he knows things as if though he's a witness to the events. He can't say this guy doesn't work here, and so he doesn't. He says he knows these other people work here because he's seen them before and doesn't know that they've been fired, even though this guy just told him they've been fired, and then says, and they say, you don't work here.
Not only
When
that,
that's
but
a
wouldn't
lie.
that sheriff's department,
When that's a lie, and they have evidence that they work there, and all the others, if you ever put them on a stand, they would have to say, yes, they came into work and we put them to work. That's working there. Go ahead now.
Fired tonight.
He didn't.
How do you know?
The worker says he doesn't want your group here.
But we're owners of the restaurant, though.
You can't show me any proof that.
Yeah, I will. I can.
You can't show me any proof. Yeah, I can. I will. Watch. This is how dumb these people are.
I can pull it up. Written in the LLC.
What's the LLC?
Limited liability company.
I mean, these police officers are really just doing whatever they can to not look at the LLC.
Can we pull up the LLC?
I don't know what that is, but
this might be a conspiracy here, but he might just be making that up, so he doesn't have to look at the proof that's on my phone.
What you're talking about so far, you have no proof of what you're of anything.
Can I show you proof then?
No, because I'm not an attorney.
So
We have no proof of what you're doing. Can I show you proof? No, I'm not an attorney. That's why you're there, is to investigate, to get proof. No, I'm not an attorney. You see how dumb this shit is?
How am I supposed to prove that I work here then if the only thing that you're willing to go off is your opinion and the evidence you keep asking for, you're not going to look at it?
I mean, should I pull up the LLC?
No, I don't want to talk about the LLC.
So it's getting to the point where I'm like, okay, cops, you asked for all the proof. And when I try and show it to you, you don't read it. So I'm just going to try and explain to you guys the proof as best as I can.
Written in the LLC, in all the paperwork, which is verifiable online. You can look up on your phone if you want. it says that everyone that works a shift here is considered an owner of the restaurant. So we have all worked here. In the LLC also says group decisions are made on majority vote. So if you want to fire an employee, it has to be on majority vote. So we are all owners of the restaurant, and we outvoted to fire all of the current members. And we had a group meeting. It legally happened, and they have all been fired tonight.
Now that the cops know that my friends and I legally own this restaurant, they don't know how to respond back. So I had to do a little cop group meeting.
The only reason why we're here is there's a group call.
There's a group call?
There's a group call saying that you guys were taking over the business. That's why you have somebody call.
Oh, well, yeah, we're taking it over, but we did it legally.
You've worked for the LLC?
Since June, yes.
As an employee?
Yes. And we have all video evidence of it.
Now the cop group meeting's done.
I guess you guys are here to kind of take over the deli.
We did everything legally. We have documentation of everything that happened.
I don't care right now. Okay.
We have evidence of everything, or evidence, legal documentation of everything. We don't care. That's how ignorant these people are.
Officers be implemented.
You're breaking up, brother. You need to go back to the living room.
Okay, so here's my understanding of what I'm seeing right now is that they have video evidence of a cop
Donald Internet
going against the law, which opens the police department for I can't say that damn word. Legislate. I can't. You know what word I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it opens them up to a civil suit for a lot of things, depending on what they do. You know, if they would have arrested the people or whatever, that would have been possible. Am I back? Okay, yeah, if they'd have gone through and arrested people, they could be open to possible lawsuits of kidnapping, extortion, all kinds of things. Like they mentioned, they get free sandwiches and stuff because of the old employees, and that's pretty much like a bribery setup. They've already been paid for the bribe. It's like a protection racket, you know? So yeah, we come here all the time. Yeah, all the time, getting free food from the local cult that has all kinds of employees that are working for free. So yeah, you're going to get free food too, huh? You're going to protect them because they give you free food.
And that's
so let's get back at it.
We know
a couple minutes left.
Law enforcement officers come here, right? So we do have a working relationship with the people that do work here currently. All right, but you guys coming in here, the only thing you're going to find yourself doing is getting arrested if they want prosecution for you guys.
Because you have a relationship with them?
Here, I've never seen you. I've been here multiple times.
Well, that's because I was in the kitchen.
So he doesn't care about the evidence. He just cares about his personal relationship with them, his free food.
So you're going to let them refuse to get fired by the owners of the restaurant because you have a relationship, a personal relationship?
If that's how you want to interpret it, yes.
Theoretically.
If that's how you want to interpret it, yes. He's willing to accept that as the interpretation. That you're willing to take a bribe. You're willing to take a bribe. All right, hold on, guys. Sans Medic. You know, this again proves your honor. So I'd rather you just leave like the coward you are. But the link is down there. Let me put it down there again for you, brother, so you can feel free to come on up.
Oh, so I this is news to me. I'm Canadian now? Oh, wow.
No, I think he was talking about nubs. But it doesn't matter. See, that's a point where people start slinging ad hominems. And again, like I said, this is just a psychological metaverse, and it has no effect if you don't let it have any effect. So again, the link is down there. Come on up and let's talk about it. Otherwise, we'll let YouTube and StreamYard know you're out here trying to incite. And that's in the language. So anyway, let's get back to it. Please excuse the disruption. I doubt he'll show up. Go ahead, Danielle.
I was just saying he doesn't have cojones. He won't come up.
Nah.
If I were to walk back onto the restaurant that I'm an owner of, you would arrest me.
I don't work theoretically.
So
it would be a citizen's arrest by that.
I mean, it just kind of hurts because like we're the owner of this restaurant now, and we fired them, and it's like.
Do you have your ID with you?
I mean, the more the conversation went on, the more the cops would just say the stupidest things just to, I don't know, just make them look right and me look wrong, I guess. Reckless Ben. R-E-C-K.
Oh, you forgot the W.
No, reckless is spelled without a W.
Reckless?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
No. There's a W.
There is?
Yeah.
See, this is that Dunning-Kruger effect. They both ganged up on him and said, reckless? No, it's got a W in it. Both of them confirmed, yeah, it's got a W in it. Reckless Ben is his name that he created for his YouTube channel. If he created it, it's his spelling. Let me tell you how I spell Noel. J-K-L, or excuse me, J-K-M-N-O. And how do you spell Noel with Noel? J-K-M-N-O. There's Noel there. It's called reading between the lines. It's called being creative. It's called coining your words or pursing your lips. It's called naming yourself and not subjecting yourself to somebody else's idiocracies.
I'm pretty sure I have to do some homework on my name. Wait, let's look it up. Reckless. Let's see. Yeah, see, no W.
Oh, you're a genius.
Yeah. Finally, the first proof this guy's looked at.
Are you gonna leave?
Am I not on the sidewalk right now, or
You just can't block the sidewalk.
am I blocking it?
If you guys end up.
You guys are going to end up blocking it. Oh, you can make that premonition. You're a clairvoyant. This is fucking total ironic idiocy. These people think they're smart, and they say the stupidest shit.
We would just have to sue them. That's the only way to resolve this is for us to sue them.
Yes.
So to the people who think that they still own the Yellow Deli, I'm suing you guys because the rules are the rules. And if they weren't the rules, that would mean that you would have to pay your employees the amount you owe them, which I actually calculated. Since opening in 2010, your employees would have worked a combined 800,000 hours, which minimum wage is over $12 million. I know you can't afford to pay $12 million. That's what you would have to do if the loophole I used on you guys didn't work. So if the loophole does work, what you can't afford to do is just admit that I found a flaw in your loophole. So when I walk into my restaurant next time, you won't be violent towards me and you won't call the cops on me because we are the legal owners of this restaurant now. So let us rebrand our restaurant.
I
Interesting, huh?
Part two.
Yeah. Well, and that's interesting because it brings up a situation. Like I said, if they're gonna claim like the one guy did, the big burly guy with the tattoos on his face and shit, he claimed to be the owner. Now, if he's gonna claim to be the owner, like he was pointing out, then he's got to be paying wages. And if he's not paying wages, then he's been violating his employees, and they got to go back and calculate how much he owes in employees. So you're either a boss and own it as a corporation, or you're a co-owner in an LLC where everybody gets a vote, and you voted by majority like the LLC was written up. And like I said, there's different ways to write up your LLCs, and you can actually be a LLC but hire a management company that would hold all the assets separately and help prevent some kind of takeover like that. Of course, your management company would probably be a bit more business minded, wanting to stay in business for themselves to be able to manage your affairs. So they damn well better be able to foresee any kind of takeovers like that and prevent them. So it's going to be interesting if it gets to, if it does go through court, what that $12 million process is going to look like. Are the court's going to look at it as if though it's some kind of joke and these guys don't know what they're doing? Or are they going to look at the real aspect that they get their ass in trouble by pointing out the discrepancies in how that LLC is being run? I mean, truly, Free burgers for the police officers. That's at the minimum. Even as a free hamburger could lead to RICO charges. These people are stupid when they're dealing with 508C1Ds. Those are tax corporations, no matter how you look at it. You're dealing with financial instruments, and that could very well lead to, like I said, RICO. It's a very, very slippery step when you think about limited liability and what that liability really is. The liability is that you are the ones that have to protect your ownership in it, each and every one of you. That's why it's important, if you're going to run a situation like that, you incorporate people that already know how LLCs run and help you up your game of the LLC. You learn how to hold escrow accounts for your property. Say an LLC like this that owns the restaurant, or runs the restaurant and everything, but there's one member that they decide to vote out, and when they do so, he's the one that invested the equipment. So when they vote him out, he gets to take his equipment with him. So is it wise for a restaurant to vote out the guy that owns the grill and the dishwasher and the dough mixers and all those things? What are your considerations as a co-owner in that LLC? Because each one should be able to bring something different, whether it be a skill or an actual asset in physical form or whatever, as part of their investment in that setup. So it's a really nice setup that you can use if you have people that are ingenious and know how to lock their own safety in it by not allowing those majority votes to get carried away like that. Each member has to be able to be competent of knowing how that LLC operates so that each one can keep a sharp eye out for those situations.
Here's a question.
Go ahead.
You can answer that.
Says this is standard for every LLC. There are standards for every LLC, and those standards can vary according to how you structure your LLC. There are certain minimum requirements. And this is why I urge everybody to look them up, because your states may be different, but there are going to be varying standards that are going to be minimums. And you can have an LLC as a single man, but typically it's going to be looked at as a sole proprietorship. You have to make sure that it's recognized as an LLC. But typically an LLC is going to have multiple members. And they're members, not employees. Go ahead, Danielle.
Okay, so say you work for a company that has this kind of business structure where you're the owner and you don't get paid. How would you go about paying your bills?
Well, that's that's what we're working on with the set off and discharge. Let me see if I can pull something up. If I've got it even. Yeah, I don't have it here.
All right, so say you get a letter from the IRS and you got to come in and you tell them that you are part owner of an LLC and you don't get paid. They're going to ask you, well, then how do you pay your bills?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. The restaurant makes money. They sell their food. That's how they pay their bills, but they don't get paid themselves as owners. That's one of the things is The organization owns the property where they do all their farming. That's where they have their housing, things, you know, like that. And then they have the restaurant as a way to make money off of the produce that they provide from that farm. So they're able to convert their commodity to a service for the community, and in that service for the community, that itself is the commodity, is the bills of exchange that go across that counter.
You're giving me an idea.
That way they can pay all their bills, and all that excess, it doesn't get spent. It goes back into the organization to purchase what it needs, no matter what it is. I don't care if it's clothes for the people, a mill to mill and grind their own wheats and stuff. You know, as they expand, they grow into doing more and more things. So instead of buying local bread from the or bread from the local bakery, they now start making their own bread for the restaurant. Instead of buying the meat from the local store or the butcher, they now have cows and sheep and goats and whatnot. As they grow accordingly. Like I said before, you don't want to grow too fast because it can consume you, implode on you. What's the idea I gave you? Tell me. Uh-huh. Yeah?
To take a page from the Great Wizard, close your lips and purse your words, or however you say it.
Coin your words or purse your lips.
I don't want to say it over broadcast it because I don't want my idea getting or possibly get ruined. But I'll type it out, or we can talk after.
All right. Greetings, KL Bay. How you doing today, brother? We had a birthday the other day. Hope you had a good day, brother. We're up here talking about.
I'm doing pretty
we're
good.
Up here.
I had an echo. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if we can take care of that here real quick.
No, I just closed out. I just muted one of the.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, now you're better. Yeah. So yeah, we're just up here talking about LLC and the dangers and pluses and negatives of it. And I noticed you just did a video the other day on LLC too, didn't you?
Yeah, I was talking about but I created a system, learning how to utilize the church, right? Devaluing the dollar. We don't value that. We take that in, and then we use that to create our own utopia by setting up an investment company where all the members are part of the religious body. They're not individual, they're under a religious mission. So all the monies we receive is from donations, and then the donations go into an investment, and then the investment then purchase what we need, right? Purchase, if you want a dealership or whatever, and then you will get a voucher or whatever to go get a car, clothes, or whatever you need from the church, so that you're not dependent on the United States for any of what they're trying to do. So now it's just done through contracts, learning how to utilize this system, and then I'm not creating any tax obligations. I'm using a tax avoidance strategy, right?
Right.
So I don't have to worry about taxes.
Yeah, and that's what we just watched a video on a restaurant that was developed from a what the guy called here a cult, which is a religious organization of 508C19 or what was it C1D, and basically the same thing that you're talking about, except that it was outside of the actual religious organization where they actually had a restaurant that they ran in the community. So it wasn't just the religious organization as an LLC. They also had an LLC as a restaurant that they used as a point of bringing people into the religious LLC. So they would hire people at the restaurant, and the basis was that they hired them to work for free as part of an ownership. The LLC means you're part owner. So as part owner, just their labor was an investment into the LLC.
Is right. So I'm not coming under the statutory language. I'm a use the Constitution under the Article 1 to establish under the First Amendment, and then bring it in, and then have the notary authenticated. They can't. I'm not going to use, and then I'm going to use the investment. That's going to be a statutory entity, right? The church
Right.
is going to be a constitutional entity. So we're not talking about any statutory law at all. We're going to deal with the scope of the
Right.
constitutionality
Yeah.
of what's going on, right?
Right. The only statutory thing in it there is the recognition of a statutory type entity, so it can mirror the regulatory sections. That's it.
Exactly. So I mean, Keith, you know this like the back of your hand. So everybody hasn't, got it together yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I mean, it's just, Malika, you, me, we've been at this for a while. So what I identify with is understanding how to utilize, the sacred trust. Like they talk about a sacred trust, a secret trust, secret societies. That's all these institutions. They got a lot of secret societies that's running, backdoor deals. This America's for sale. Everybody is buying in and cashing out. I mean, it's just a slippery slope, and it's just going, if you're not up on everything, and I just, people, it's just funny to me that all of these people, they talk about wealth, Keith, right? But if you ask them about the Constitution, all the studying that they don't know none of the stuff you know. But they're going to
Right.
tell you how to be wealthy. But you don't have no understanding about the system.
Well,
No.
not only that, but they have no understanding about how to invest in self. And if you're going to continue investing in a system that you already know is detrimental to you, then you've already failed and you think you're successful, and you're just fooling yourself. I mean, it goes to a generational wealth system. And when you cut off that generational tie by your own selfishness, by not passing this on to your next generation, that's the problem. If you really think you find a solution to this system and can maintain that wealth, then why is it not being passed on to the next generation?
Because the United States is a plantation. It's a slave plantation.
Yeah,
We-
franchise.
Yeah.
They've got everybody operating as a franchise for the United States and not knowing it. Again, that's that identification. Look on the top of the damn card. It says State of Iowa, all caps. That's a corporate entity, not a nationality.
No, it's not and what the problem is people don't really understand. And I'm gonna tell you, it's not that I don't even think they want to understand, because they're so afraid to do anything else.
Well, not only just afraid, but it's kind of cushioned by this sense of relief of convenience and comfort, thinking that somebody else is going to protect you. So you go ahead and you start living your life, and you think they're protecting you, but in the meantime, you're getting all kinds of little fines, fees, penalties, all kinds of stuff that you're really not supposed to be paying, and it's ridiculous. If you really think that's convenient, all you're doing is allowing that to take over and consume not only your life, but the generation that's coming to follow you. That's your true duty in life, is if your ultimate priority is bring children into the world, part of that is to teach them how to live in the world.
And not only teach them how to live in the world, but make it safe for them to thrive in the world.
Yeah.
So that's our duty, is to blaze a trail for them to follow, and they build upon what we already left behind. So when you look at this black and white thing, this caste system, they tricked everybody. They say, okay, you blacks over here, you whites over there, but you ain't nothing but a slave. You know, you just got the field and the house. You know what I mean? And that's all it is. Everybody's slaves, and they don't even know they're slaves. They trick everybody into this. It's a plantation.
That's what the comfort and convenience is about. It's so nice to have somebody else teach your children. It's so nice to have somebody else tell your children their ideologies, because then you don't have to explain yours and get in arguments with other people about your ideologies. It's much easier just to placate that you have an ideology, not really even think about it, and just live your life like most people do, sitting on a couch, watching the boob tube as you're watching somebody else's dramatic or comedic life, because yours is so wonderful. You know,
it's funny. It's just
laziness.
It's laziness. People are lazy. Sloth. That's one of the sins, right? People don't want to grow up. They don't want to be responsible. And this take work to learn to decipher through this madness. 1 U.S.C.1, you know, go back to the origin, the source law, and look at what they're doing, you know.
1 U.S.C.1, words denoting numbers, gender, and so forth, correlating with John 1:1. In beginning was Word. It's one of the easiest correlations I can make for you. Look up 1 U.S.C.1 and see it how it talks about words denoting number, gender, and so forth, and how singular means plural, plural means singular, that male means female, female means male. They've got you speaking a Babylized language that you don't really know what's being said when you say it. Is the suspect male or female? Well, it's male, so it's female. No, I said male. Well, the code says that male imports female and female imports the male. So when you told me male, you imported that it's female, right? That's exactly what that code is saying if you read it. So again, to correct that code, 1 U.S.C.1, words denoting numbers, gender, and so forth, it correlates to John 1:1. In beginning was the Word. So one of them's right and the other one's wrong. Which one? You choose.
You know what's so funny? I did a video and I was just asking people. Let's say you create a contract, right? A non-commercial operation agreement, right? To operate your car. Automobile. Don't use the word vehicle. And you just set the terms, you and the religious institution, and y'all contract. Have anybody ever tried to go into court with the contract and see how it would play out? Could they say anything to you about anything about the contract?
Well, and see, a lot of times, if you're good at contracting, you get something like that to work. But if you realize how the laws are structured, and you buy that automobile as private household goods for agricultural use, again, when we talk about title, it's a legal title that if it merges with equitable title is possession and use. Legal title is entry and control. So when you get that certificate of title from the state, you amend it. An endorsement is an amendment to an insurance policy, and they want your signature on that title. That means it's an insurance policy. When you look at the code, that's exactly what they say. You're taking ownership of the insurance liability and the taxes. So what you're doing is you're amending the insurance that if you have to pay and there's no benefit, then it's detrimental to you. And since they can't give you a benefit without first telling you you have to pay something, which itself is a detriment, then it's not an equal exchange. So you have to cancel that invalid contract for legal title, which is entry and control of an agricultural product that they have no use of. It's for agriculture. And you cannot convert somebody else's agricultural labor into a commodity. And that's exactly what they do with those titles.
Exactly. It's all I try to tell people. What they learn how to do is pass the liability. The issue is passing on the liability so that they reap all the benefits. It's nothing but taxes. I say when you really boil down to it, it's a tax and insurance schemes. That's what everything boils down: taxes and insurance schemes. So you get stuck into this realm and line idle veto. I learned this from you. Look at the contracts and start read. I tell people before you sign anything, read it. Just read it. Take the time to just read it. Just understand before you get in any more contracts. Just take it and read it. And that's what so many people telling you, oh, we're going to get you equity. We're going to do. I'm like, y'all don't even read your contracts. You don't even know what's in it. You don't even know what's in
it. And just so everybody knows, I've been going through this thing with the jury duty. And speaking of the line item veto and stuff, that's what I did with the jury summons. I went through and I line item vetoed it. You can go back and look at my videos and see that, as well as I've got pictures posted on my social sites. Now, what happened is they turned around and sent me a denial letter saying that they were denying the allowance for an exception. And so I had to write them back again, letting them know that, no, I wasn't requesting an allowance for an exception. I was pointing out clear and conspicuous errors that proved inconsistencies and impossibilities. And evidently, when I sent it out, and two things. First of all, I sent it out the same day as my companion sent out a letter to her sister down in Arizona. Now, mine went to the local courthouse here. Hers went to Arizona, both without a stamp or anything. And they made it to their destinations. Mine evidently made it the day that I was supposed to appear in court, so obviously I didn't appear, and that's what I told them in that letter. I wasn't going to be appearing. I don't care what you say. I'm not asking for an allowance. I'm telling you, I'm not a United States citizen. I'm not a resident. I don't have a job. I don't have a bank account. You don't have any authority whatsoever because you have no personal jurisdiction. So anyway, they turned around and sent me a notice. Filing has been submitted. The court reference, judge, official file stamp, 12/10/2023. Now, 12/5 was supposed to be my jury date. It says case title in the matter of jury service Keith Little, document submitted. OODP, order of disposition, filed by or in behalf of Andrea Dreyer, the one that originally brought the bench warrant for contempt for failure to appear. You may review this filing by clicking on the following link. It says, parties not served by EDMS, the rules define the clerk, da-da-da-da. The court order itself. The court reviewed this case on December 10th, 2023. The jury clerk informed the court that defendant was rescheduled for jury duty on December 5th, 2023, but was not needed for service on a jury on that date. It is ordered these contempt of court proceedings are dismissed. Now, what they don't tell you is that the document I presented was in fact information that they were given as a notice as principal or agent that they were in fact attempting to violate the law because they didn't have personal jurisdiction. And in that personal jurisdiction, they converted a last name to a firm name and a social security number to an obligor number. And it will, if I have to, hire an audit company to come in and do a forensic audit, because I am not subject to their jurisdiction. They do know their job, and they are committing fraud if they push this forward. Guess what? In accordance with paragraph number 3 of the order filed September 7th, 2023, costs are taxed to defendant. It is a tax court. It is a tax issue. They are pushing tax items. That's fraud. Show me the contract where the taxes are required to be paid, because it ain't got my signature on it. Yet you're using my name in a matter of probated estate for tax purposes, and that's income tax purposes. Again, folks, remember, I told you I don't have a job, ain't had a job for 7 years, ain't had a bank account for 7 years, and the whole kit and caboodle is based on identification that I don't have either, and is impossible.
You know what I find funny, right? So, people teach implied contracts, right? So as I study more and more and more, before you can have an implication of anything, there has to be a contract somewhere. There has to. You can't say you're going to apply me to something based on something, and there is no contract that exists nowhere in the universe.
Yeah, it's all an implication. That's all it is. It's not a contract. It's an implication. And because it's an implication on paper or in paper, it's assumed or presumed as a legal fiction, a contract. And again, remember, folks, every time you give an endorsement, it's an amendment to an insurance policy. So Mom, when she signed as informant on that document, that was an amendment to an insurance policy. That was the amendment to her insurance policy, her Social Security account, to add a minor account, a linked account, so that if that baby died, the state would pay the expenses. This is the establishment of the original burial trust that coincides with the birth certificate and then is activated for execution upon the entrance of a death certificate. In the meantime, the state is administrating that estate as if though it's a probated estate. There's no living man, that the man has already passed.
It's just funny. It's like they tell you it's Social Security or Social Service Insurance or Social Security Insurance. It's an insurance. Now, everybody said, well, I'm the beneficiary of the trust as it relates to me. But where's the contract to show who's the beneficiary? You have so when I tell people law is not a guessing game, you have to know, or you should known or should have known. So when people say you can't question the public debt, the issue is it's not so much that you're questioning it. They saying that you really can't debate it because we already signed up. We already indebted ourselves. So where's the location on the 2832-3002? It's in what? Washington, D.C. That's where the debtor lies.
Yeah, that's UCC 9-307. Debtor, subsection H. United States is located in Washington, D.C. I speak about this all the time. If United States is located in Washington, D.C., and Washington, D.C. is the physical 10 square mile boundary, then United States is merely nothing but the record. And remember again, folks, Washington, D.C. has no statehood. Therefore, that record has no statehood. And that's where they pose that they have this sovereignty. If there's no statehood, how can there be sovereignty? I just did a video this morning on statelessness. That's an interesting aspect. Go ahead.
I got a question for you. So, are you not supposed to say you are a living man in court?
No, I'm the benefactor to the beneficiary. No matter how you look at it, every breath I take is an act of God in the form of a living soul. But according to their courts, I'm the benefactor to the beneficiary. And as benefactor, I haven't received the benefit yet. The beneficiary hasn't received the benefit yet, and it's being held. Justice is not for sale, denial, or delay.
And what's so funny, right? When I hear people talking about status correction, a guy was telling me there's a I do personal status. Personal status? What are you talking about? So when you learn contract law, status comes in the form, and I try to tell people, it's your relationship to the person, places, or thing. They teach you status as it relates to the person, place, or thing. What is your relationship to the artificial person? What is your relationship to the man or the woman? What is your relationship to the place that they're saying? What is the thing? What is your relationship to the thing? Those three elements have to exist. They have to show you your relationship. This is not a guessing game. Either they know, or you know, or they don't have no case.
Yeah, and it's like the LLCs that we're talking about tonight. There's a very distinct difference between an LLC and a corporate entity. Corporate entity, you actually have a board of directors that can hire an attorney. Yet as an LLC, you have to develop your LLC structure to obtain that board of directors or show a board of directors, even though you're not organized under the laws of the United States as a corporate entity. You still have to be able to, like I said earlier, mirror the system. If you can't do that, then I suggest you stop what you're doing, pull it all back in, and get it out of that system, because that system will eat you up. I mean, this sounded like just a group of yahoos that come in and took over this restaurant. And that's how easy it is if you don't know how to protect yourself. Some other guy that's just the next level up will come in and take you over. And remember, there's other people that'll level you 10 times over. You really got to be savvy at this.
Yeah, and you got to understand. So I was talking about, CFRs as how everything, the relationships from like, for example, United States codes or ran by Congress. So when you go into court, who is bringing you into a court? You're getting brought in under the executive branch, all of these different agencies. They're pulling you into court, not Congress. You're not a personal member.
Yeah, and see, that's what we're doing, is trying to pierce that corporate veil under the administrative courts, that you're not a corporate entity, but yet you can mirror that and execute your own will. That's the totality of it in the most quantum basic thing that I could say. You've got to be able to have that plenary power to operate as a corporate entity yourself. You've got to know how to be a secretary, an accountant, a tax advisor, an investment firm, an architecture, all these different things. You've got to be capable of comprehending yourself, because otherwise, if you don't, you're going to hand it over to somebody else that's going to take advantage of you. You're going to hand over the ownership of your LLC simply by bringing other people in, when your best way of action, in my opinion, is, again, don't believe me, don't believe your neighbor, don't believe the government, for crying out loud, don't believe your mother. Do your research so you know. Now you know, when you hire a banker, that if he does something wrong, you catch it and you can fire his ass and charge him for his criminal acts. You don't have to wonder and try to take it to somebody else and see if they can figure it out for you, because that's their job. But somewhere along the line, he works for the banker too. It's fucking pathetic. People keep handing over the knowledge as if though it's convenient, and that's your detriment.
So I was also doing a video on the live stream about like a lot of these mortgages or a lot of these contracts. So most of the time I'm looking at the contracts and I'm starting to see a pattern of conduct. There's a pattern. So
Yeah.
I see the word not pay in there defined, payment not defined. I'm seeing a lot of words that's not located. So it's not located in statute either. So when the judge talking about payment, I'm like, what are you referencing to? What is the source of law in which you're referencing? Show me the law that you're referencing so we can get this understood, because it's not in the contract.
Yep.
So,
And that's what Derek Gonzalez does. He gets on that coffee bean case, because if it's not in the contract what species, then it's not there. Same concept.
So what I've been discovering, so like on Ohio, you can file a criminal case directly into the court. And I'm saying, you guys are saying they're in violation. So if they're in violation, it's a crime. So why are you not filing your if you're filing a civil suit or they're filing a civil suit, why won't you ask the court, file a criminal complaint directly into court and ask the judge for a probable cause threshold? All you got to do is have an affidavit, somebody saying there's some injury. They
Yep.
use it all the time. It's a very minimal threshold to meet. That's all you got to do.
That's what they tried to do with this jury summons. That's what the bench warrant was, to call me in to show cause. Well, I showed them cause by response. They said, well, we'll accept your responses as failing to receive anything, and therefore service wasn't had, and therefore you didn't get the summons, and therefore you couldn't fill out a personal waiver, and therefore you couldn't appear as the defendant voluntarily. So yeah, you're right. The court doesn't have personal jurisdiction, but what we'll do is we'll send you another summons. So instead of sending me the summons to the address that I gave them, specifically directing them care of, they sent me to it, sent it under the legal name with the regular address format of the nation. So I went ahead and opened it, knowing what it was, and that I really did want to line item veto and underline or overwrite things. So I did that, sent that in, and lo and behold, instead of entering a dismissal for the bench warrant, they just made a note on the bench warrant and filed the continuance as if though they did have personal jurisdiction. And then that's why I received this letter the other day for dismissal of the contempt, because they still considered that they had personal jurisdiction when that's not been proven on the record. And in fact, they couldn't possibly have personal jurisdiction because I never voluntarily appeared in the court specifically for a hearing, except for an order hour to give the judge an order, and they failed the order. This is just fucking pathetic. A 12th grade high school graduate. That's all I am. I've never been to college. I went to prison my 18th year. I was 18 years old when I went to prison. I'm not the intelligent one, yet I'm the one that's you got to tell me if I'm insane or not, folks. And yet to this day, 7 years later, everything I've wrote to them, dismissed it. And notice, folks, remember, you can look at my record today. They still have not received any payment for the last 11 cases. They still have not received a DNA sample that they demanded on the last one. They still have not gotten a drug eval that they demanded on the last one. They still have not issued any bench warrants for the 11 prior ones that I never appeared in court.
Like I said before, effective communication. It's all about effective communication. It's privilege. Like I talk about privilege. They talk even in their code. They talk about privileged communication. They tell you. So I learned how to. All they doing is manipulating the process. It's a form of manipulation, and it's an art. It's a skill. And once you understand how to deal with these issues, right? So a lot of these problems will start to implode, things that you shed light on, because they don't really want you to expose everything and really highlight the areas. Because a lot of this
Yeah.
stuff, if you look at a lot of the stuff they're doing, like most of these procedures and all of this stuff, they're not even following none of this stuff. So most of the time, I just argue due process issues. This is all wrong. You're not even following what you said you was gonna follow. So how
Exactly. Like I said with this jury summons, I told them I don't have income. I haven't had a job for 7 years. I don't even have a bank account. And yet here we are. They're sending me documents that say, what is it? Costs are taxed to defendant, and judgment is entered against defendant for those costs. That means it is a tax issue, and they're wanting me to pay the taxes that are supposed to be prepaid before they issued the bond. Remember, they issued the bench warrant. That's a $350 bond, and they issued it on something that had no citation, no long title, no disposition records. Notice this says disposition for costs are taxed. Okay, let me get that. Where did it say disposition? Documents submitted. OODP order of disposition. No disposition was found. No bond was found. Yet they feel a need to issue a bond and a disposition order despite zero finances, no charges, no long title, no citation. These people are just totally fucking insane.
It's so I try to tell people when you understand, like, it's always a paper trail. So like they're trying to hit you with a tax. So I try to tell people, okay, where's the tax coming from? So when I think of tax, I think about a lien. I say, okay, what are you leaning? What is lien? What am I possession of that you're going to charge me a fee schedule for that I ain't even using? What
your labor. They're trying to force your labor. That's 18 USC 1589, folks, and consequently, the penalty for that is 30 years. Consequently, that's what most of the major bonds last for, is a maturity of 30 years.
But this is what I'm saying to you, right? So under their own codes, a labor can't be taxed. So what is we talking about? Is that an oxymoron? What is it? Is that a conflict in law?
Absolutely. That's what I point out to them. I'm sorry, but I can't do the works that you're demanding me of, because I have a faithful saying that he wills that I constantly affirm, that people who believe in God are careful to maintain good works. And this is the point about faith is dead without works.
But
you have to live up to your faith.
Right, but don't we supposed to walk in faith, not by sight? right? Everything supposed to be in good faith. Ain't that what they're saying? Everything is in good faith. The good faith standard, right? They even allow officers get immunity if they're operating in good faith. Ain't this the standard of what they use all the time, the good faith? So then they turn around and do this. Now you're operating from fruit of a poisonous tree. You can't break the law to enforce it. It's the possibility doctrine. It's an
Yeah,
impossible.
and they're using their position in this stuff, like we saw in the video. The officer said, he asked, he said we didn't have proof of what they were saying. Well, can I give you proof? And he says, no, I'm not an attorney. Well, no, but you're an officer, and that's what you're supposed to be doing, is looking for evidence. And now you're showing that you're plainly biased. And we've got to understand that. If you, until you learn how to safeguard yourself, no safety regulations are ever going to be used for you. None. They're going to be used against you.
So one of the things that I try to teach is in contract law, create contractual safeguards, elements in the contract, like a block grant. Like, I'm not granting that under contract, different things that you can establish for a communication purpose. And now you got the material evidence that you can use. And what this does is it's allow me to stay sharp, Keith. This allow me to have that mental sharpness when I talk to them. Because sometimes when I talk to people, I could see when I'm talking to them, because I was just talking to the school about, and they, like the lady was trying to tell me. So this is one of the things, right? We were talking about my daughter getting to school, right? And it was funny. And they have a federal policy, right? Immigrants can go to school. You don't need to have a status to go to school. And I'm saying to the lady, I said, did you see what I sent you? This is federal policy. And I said, so how can an immigrant go to school? And they don't have to, but you're telling me all of these different things that we have to do. I said, it's not making sense. So when I got to talking to her, I could see that she was like, she just got stuck. She's like, I'm not the person you can, I don't know any of this, what you're talking about. You have to talk to the lawyer. I said, well, let him call me, you know. And I never got in touch with him. You know, everything got resolved, but they don't know.
And see, that's, I mentioned a portion of that in my video I did this morning on statelessness. A stateless person, according to their doctrines, not law, but doctrines, are to be provided administrative assistance, not administrative rule and authority, but administrative assistance. And this is because you're technically not, particularly here in the United States. Again, let me point it out one more time. If the United States has no birth registration, then there is no record that you were born in the United States. And again, if the United States is located in Washington, D.C., and the United States is nothing but that record, then again, you were not born into a record. You were born into the real world, and an illegal fiction was birthed into that record. That's it. There's a distinct difference. It is not a nationality, as the United States is not a nation, but a corporation. These things are all inconsistent letter of the law shit that proves it to be impossible.
It was so funny, right? As we talk about their own doctrine of impossibility in correlation to the events, right? So, you know, this corporation that's trying to impose its jurisdictional issues, you know, it's like you try to So now they're trying to say, okay, you signed off on these documents. So everything that you signed from your mother signed from the time you were born and issue these documents. Could they say they don't practice slavery, right? The 13th Amendment says what? Any type of relic, incident, right? Incidentals, right? We talk about a slavery, right? These are badges or relics of a slave condition, and they like to use the word. What's the word? Comity. Oh, they using the word comity as if that is suffice to say you're under contract, but you don't have an oath. I never took an oath. I never contract. You got. I never said I was going to be a trustee. Show me the contract. There's no conditions of contract. So then they try to impose their debt obligation that they got into on you, saying that you okay. Hold on? Show me how all of this. Just show it to me.
See, and that's that state's minimum contacts. That's what they consider comedy. It's the connection, the nexus. And your minimum state contacts is every document you sign, whether it be an insurance document, a bank document, a check, a money order, registration for an automobile, a registration of your children at the hospital, registration of your children at the school, registration of your children into the military, all kinds of stuff. Everything you sign is a signed writing. And that signed writing, again, if you look in your state codes, is most likely going to be defined under your trust code. Every time you sign, that's an endorsement, and you're signing or amending an insurance contract, and that insurance contract is directly related to that burial trust. All for probate. It's all done in probate. The only way they can administrate in an estate is if it's been probated. That means the man has to have deceased. I'm alive. Scott versus McNeil, 1894. A court of probate has no jurisdiction over the estate of a person who is in fact alive. Can't be had.
But this is where they talk about you have to have a living trust to bypass probate, right? All of this stuff it's an impossibility. None of this stuff is really under the true application of law. Show me the source of law. Show me who's coming up with this stuff.
The only thing that I see as a trust is every word of God is pure. It is a shield unto him who put their trust in God. This is why I depend upon the word. And again, a trust shall not fail for want of trustee. So even without Jesus Christ, I can stand as a witness to myself and a witness that I have faith in our Father which art in heaven. And mashallah, it is his will that I do so, constantly affirming that he who did believe in God be careful to maintain good works. That's all I'm here to do. If it happens to be similar works as Jesus, then hallelujah. I hope to be able to emulate the good works that are profitable unto men. Because if I can't, I can only hope to do better.
I'm just sometimes the more you read and study, you just sometimes you say, what are we living in? Sometimes I'll be like, I ask myself, I said, did I die and go to hell?
Well, I try to explain to everybody this computer, these devices that we get on, this is a metaverse. It's not real and everything. Yeah, and when it comes to how we can use it, I talk about Philip Zimbardo, and he was the guy that did the Stanford Prison Project. He also does nowadays what's called the Heroic Imagination Project. And so this forum that we have here, these devices, is a way we can develop our character. and be the hero that we want to be, because it's a place where we can come repeatedly to learn and exercise our noggin.
It's yeah. I'm just like, so I listen to, I listen to a lot of stuff. I still watch a lot of your videos, as we cross paths through our journey. But I'm just looking at like, wow, like some of the stuff, the conduct, and I'm just it's egregious in a lot of their acts, and they're supposed to be public trustees. They're supposed to preserve the peace.
Yeah, and that's a large part of the problem that they have nowadays is because people think they have this right to protest and stuff, and so they've gotten real aggressive with them. And I'm no innocent little lamb about that. I'm guilty as fuck. I'm one of the worst, and so I've realized that these people are responding in their own cognitive dissonance to people that have been treating them like myself in my own cognitive dissonance. So none of it's been doing any of us any good. And now I just have to keep reaffirming that my fault in it is my duty to fix my fault in it and come as peaceful as possible and try to repent and forgive for those errors in the past. That's the only way I'm going to be able to be better about myself and have any hopes of rectifying the situation with the people that already know me as that angry old man that used to fucking flip them off, call them all kinds of names, and get really fucking rude with them. I still have a hard time with that sometimes. I don't want to be nice, but I've got to force it. And I've gotten a lot better about it. So
yeah, sometimes I just learned that you catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar. You have to. I think it's more of an education process. I think the world has just been duped by a caste system that keep them in a perpetual state of misery, and people don't understand how to create their own utopia. And and it's all based on this false premises of this financial system that they're trying to institute, and that's what people are chasing on this hamster wheel over.
Well, yeah, and everybody wants to be the next king, and that's what it's about. Everybody demanded a king, and now that they've demanded a king, it's a popularity contest to see who's going to be the next king. Remember, Mom and Dad always told us when we were a kid, you can grow up to be president if you want to, son. And now they're telling their daughters, you can grow up to be president if you want to, dear. And that's the equal rights and everything that we placate as if though we know what we're talking about when we're not equal. Everybody has their own talents, and we need to learn how to be diverse about that instead of trying to correlate everybody as a singularity where there is no diversity at all. And that's going to destroy us.
Right.
I think that's why they're going to rig the system to have the first female president be Kamala Harris, because they can't get a female to be elected fairly.
I don't think it'll happen.
I don't think so either. I don't think the system is already rigged. It's rigged. It's been rigged. It was rigged from the beginning. That's why certain group of people dominate in certain spaces of this. You know what I mean? Because it's a rigged system. It's nothing fair about it. It's just we coexist in it. I think the problem is that our common man, we have been beat down with so distrust. We don't trust each other. That's the biggest thing. We won't come together for our own empowerment. Like, if we put all our pennies together, we can make our own utopia, and nobody can say nothing about it. But because we live in this divided space, and we won't be diverse, and we live in this caste system, and we allow them to continue this machine to work, we won't come together. We won't come together. And that's the problem. And that's where they thrive in our inability to unite, to say enough is enough. Let's work together. We don't even need to ask them for too much of anything, because the people that make up government is the common man that got sucked into the idealism of what they're talking about. They got sucked into this objective. And you got all these great minds that can come together and do all types of things. But we choose not to. Because it people don't feel safe. I don't trust you. You don't, but you trust everybody. You go out, you catch the bus, you trust that the bus driver is not high on meth. You trust that people are on the expressway going to work. You trust everything. You trust that the gas and electric is going to work, so you and your kids don't freeze in your home. You trust all the time. But you
blindly.
But you refuse to trust your own brethren. We refuse to do this. We refuse to come together. We refuse to stand in line together. United, we stand. Divided, we fall. Period.
Yeah, it's the destruction of the family unit. And it's because it seems to be so much work to stand as a family unit, a single family caste, as our brother was talking about caste systems earlier, and the kings. See, you'd rather be part of a king's caste ship or a casting rather than your own family casting. And your mom and dad placate the exact same thing, like I said, by telling you, listen, son, one day you can grow up to be that king. Why don't you be the king you already are?
Everybody can't be the dentist. Everybody can't be the doctor. Everybody can't be the nurse. Everybody can't be the pianist. Everybody can't be the same. This is what makes the world go round. This is what makes the universe. The Big Bang Theory, bang, it came into existence. Everything the universe understood. It was a thought. We talk about the Big Bang. It was just the earth, the universe thinking, okay, I'm coming to create what I thought. And it just like in the mind, when you thinking, the mind kind of explode into this idea, and then you manifest it. It's the same consciousness.
Well,
I don't.
yeah, it's a principle in the scriptures about going forth with your talents. You do have to invest in this life. So again, if you're going to invest, I suggest you invest in yourself through your own true value. That way, once you can build that up so it's overwhelming, your cup wells over, now you can invest it into other people in such things as LLCs and cooperatives and working together. Otherwise, until then, you still have to maintain good works that are profitable unto men by making sure you're careful yourself, looking out for your safety and protecting yourself with the wisdom and knowledge. You can't do that, then just simply handing your business over to somebody else is most certainly detrimental to you.
And what I tell people, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail, because they're going to continue the presumption. If you don't,
just go with we call it just go with the plan. Just go with the plan, boys.
Right. It's just, man, I'm just like, wow. So I'm really appreciative, like, to listen and understand, like, we are of the same, like, spirit and mind, right? That we're brothers in the same journey,
Well, the
And
more of us that come together and connect like this, brother, the better it's going to get. And that goes right along again with what I said earlier with this LLC. If you're not careful, there's that old thing that says keep your friends close and your enemies closer. And if you're not careful and you invite too many enemies into your circle, that may not be quite as good as that saying portrays it to be.
right.
You know, you've got to be aware of exactly who your enemies are and where they're at. I assure you, yes, I agree with that. But to keep all of your enemies as close may not be quite the best idea. So again, be very aware and protect yourself, no matter who your friends are, no matter who your enemies are. Always be a man that can stand alone. All right. Well, with that, guys, you got anything else, Danielle? Please say so. Otherwise, we're heading on 2 hours almost, and we're going to shut her down. And I'm going to see what I got for tomorrow. I think I'm going to talk about equity tomorrow. Equity, injunction, specific performance, and vacateur. So that's what I'm preparing anyway.
No, as always, thank you. You guys have a good night.
All right. Appreciate you being here.
Peace.
Same with you, King L. Bay. Always love a great smile, man.
Peace, brother. I'm always here for the entertainment, brother. You educate a lot of people, even myself. I've been doing this for a long time, and I thank you. You know, even though with my knowledge, you still enlighten me. So, peace to you in your journey, and we're gonna stay connected and brothers in arms in this movement. So, thank you, my brother.
Absolutely, absolutely, brother. We will. And with that, guys, God bless. You know I love you. I don't give a rat's ass whether you love me back. So have a good night. We'll see you next time.